Hi everyone, my name is Tanya. I'm an English online tutor for adults, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you how to start reading in the original language in 3 steps. I do love reading in all the languages that I know, and I've been reading since my childhood when my mom taught me how to read. I think I was about 5 years old, and since then, I've been reading. Of course, there are like good and bad days, good and bad months. But all in all, I love the process of reading. Especially, I love reading physical books. I cannot read digital texts, they just don't give me this much pleasure. I really love reading the books and holding the book in my hands and just turning the pages. This whole process, it's just fun. And I'm this person who will always carry a book in my bag wherever I go. I will try to read on the public transport or whenever I have time in the cafe, for example. So I'm this book nerd. Of course, when I was a kid, I was reading only in my native language. My native language is Russian, and I started reading something in English, like books, actually, when I was at university. Yeah, I actually never tried to remember when was the first time I started reading in English, but I believe it was the university. I was studying English, I was studying teaching, so I'm like a professional English teacher. And we had a lot of English practice. We had a lot of English classes. We used to practice speaking, grammar, phonetics. And we also had to read something in original, and then we would just talk about the book. I don't really remember. And I remember that I just went to our library, our university library, and I took a book. It was a detective story, something about the robbery, these kind of things. And I remember that reading that book wasn't hard. It was quite an easy level. Probably it was an adaptation. I'm not sure, or it was just this kind of books that you can easily read. And something that really stick to my memory was the word blackmail. I don't know why, I don't know how. I had never come across this word before reading that book. And I remember that I really got it. Like, I remembered the word really well. And since then, I've known the word blackmail. This is one of the benefits of reading in original language. You never know which words will stay with you, because sometimes it just happens. You are not planning to remember anything, but the story goes somehow you just expand your vocabulary in a very natural way. It seems to me that I've been reading in English for more than 15 years now. Oh my god. No, let me think again. I think for more than 12 years for sure. It wasn't really easy from the very beginning, and the more I read, the easier it got. And I just was very, very consistent. And I also set up few reading challenges in English on my social media, and it really helped me to develop my reading habit, and I believe that it helped other people as well. I hope so. Since then, it's not a problem for me. I read consistently, and I consistently enrich my vocabulary due to reading as well. And it's obviously a good thing to do, especially when it comes to learning foreign languages. How to start reading, especially if you're a beginner, especially if you've been learning a language for a while, but you can't start to read. You can't just sit down and do this. These are my 3 steps for you. Let me know in the comments if you have tried it already and it didn't help. And if you're gonna try, just drop a comment, let me know. Step number 1, wait until you want it. That might sound silly, but it is actually one of the most important things that you can do to get a habit. What I mean, I will give you my example about French because, okay, I'm an English tutor, so English is not a problem for me. I can speak fluently. I've already had a lot of experience and I did IELTS, so like English is fine. But I'm also learning French, and actually, I'm not currently learning French, I'm just practicing it. And I've been learning French since, like, actively learning and practicing since 2020, 2019, something like that. Before, I had 1 year with a private tutor when I was at school, and this is where my story with French began. But then I had a huge break, a huge pause because of my studying at the university, and I would just occasionally try to be back to my French practice, but it didn't really work. So I took few classes with private tutors. I participated in some speaking clubs. I had practice with native speakers. I was in France in 2023, so I can't say I'm learning French, but I'm practicing French. And the first book which I read in French, Le Petit Prince, of course, The Little Prince. And you know what? I had never read this book in Russian. I had never read it in English. So my first experience was in the original language, and of course it's cool, but I was reading this book for a long time, to be honest. So how many pages is here? 95 pages. It's a tiny book. And it is actually an adapted book. I've just realized it. Okay. It is adapted for French learners. You know what? Sometimes it's even harder to read books for levels because you feel that something is wrong, something is really off in the narrative, that something is not supposed to be this way, and you can't really explain what exactly is wrong, but you just feel it. If you know what I mean, just let me know. Probably it was the reason why it took me so long to read it, but I did it, and I was really struggling, to be honest. But I did it. I felt satisfied. I felt like, that our brain loves completion, and I just tick, I've done it. The first step is to really want to read something. And I was quite I can't say that I really wanted to read this book, to be honest. I just wanted to read something in French. I just wanted to practice my French. But I wasn't like really into the process of reading in French. You know what I mean? It's like when you force yourself into doing something, the whole system is just so resistant, and you really make yourself do that. And I don't think it's the right way. Like, of course, life is not rosy, and it's not about unicorns and only nice things. And if you want to achieve something, you have to make a lot of efforts, and sometimes you have to push yourself and just do it, even if you don't want to. When it comes to practicing the languages, especially if you have no urgent situation, like there is no deadline, there is no urgency, there is no emergency, it's not like you have to do the exam next month. And if you just do it for yourself, for fun, just step by step, you have to really wait until you want to read, because reading is hard. It is not an easy skill, and especially reading in the original language. So you have to really feel this desire inside you, because this what will keep you motivated. Especially if you are an independent learner and if you are not pushed by somebody from the outside world. And I think that actually the inner motivation is the best. If you can motivate yourself into doing something, it's the best way to succeed. So after finishing this book, I would not say I was really, really eager to do something else, like to start a new book, but I had the book Deviant Mieux by Anna Gavalda. Gavalda? I'm not really sure. And it's like there are three stories, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there are three stories about three young people. And I started reading, and the language wasn't really hard. It was like, okay, it is not classical literature or something, it is not something historical, so great. But the way she's writing, her own style, it wasn't really easy for me because my first years of practicing French, I was still not really equipped with the vocabulary, with the grammar, and I just didn't have much exposure of the language itself. And I guess that's why it wasn't really easy. And I was again struggling. I was really struggling with this book. And I just put it aside. Actually, now I'm thinking that I can give it another shot because now I feel like I can actually read it. I'm looking through the pages. I'm just like checking the words. I think I can do it. I will let you know if I finish this book one day. I got another book. It was the gift from my friend from France. And it was a very new book. Like, it was the latest. It was really, really fresh. The language is so modern. The COVID was even mentioned in the book. So you can imagine that it was a really modern book, a really modern piece of literature, let's say. And I started to read, and I started to get involved into the reading because of the language, because of the slang, because of the narrative. There were a lot of dialogues, not too much of descriptions of something. And I was like, okay, I think I can do it. So, step number 2, choose wisely. Because when you choose a book which you want to read, it doesn't mean that you can read it, unfortunately. Yeah, I know, life sucks sometimes. And I will also give you a few examples with my French experience. When I was in France, I bought this book. It's Jo Nesbø, the guy from Norway. I read his book in English, The Snowman. It was amazing. I really loved it. Detective story, yeah, the thriller. I started, I tried to start actually, but I will just show you something. I started to read and I decided to highlight the words or the chunks that I didn't know. This is how my first page looks like. So you can imagine that there were a lot of unfamiliar words. And I think when you read this guy in your native language, you can just really enjoy the story, enjoy all the descriptions. I think I've never read him in Russian, but my English experience speaks itself. Unfortunately, I'm not at this level now. I'm not at this level of my French so that I can easily read it and just enjoy. So I decided to put it aside. And then I started reading this book. And I mean, I don't try to make my life easier, I guess, but I just got some books like, book crossing kind of stuff, and I just keep some books in French, and they just wait their time. You know what I mean? So I decided to try reading this book. I actually read like 45 pages and I couldn't continue because it is also tough. It is tough for me, and the topic itself, and the vocabulary, and the narrative. So sometimes choosing wisely doesn't mean choosing the easiest book, it means choosing the best book for you right now. If you are a beginner, if you just start if you like started, I don't know, several months ago or even a year ago, you started to learn a new language, don't choose any classical books. Please, I beg you, don't choose it because it is hard. The language might be really old fashioned and you will just get nothing and you will not get the pleasure and you will get discouraged and you will just stop doing it. And you will say, like, okay, reading is not for me, or my level is so low, I'm so bad, I'm so dumb, I can't read in the original language, like, I will never do this. This is what's gonna happen, just believe me. You can start with books for levels. Like, you can choose the book that will correspond to your current level. And it's not embarrassing. It is not a shaming. Like, there is no shame. You read accordingly to your level and it's okay, it's totally fine. And I think you can easily find something online, or you can go to your nearest bookstore and find the shelf with the books in your target language and ask an assistant, like, are there any books for levels? I'm sure there are. And just choose whatever looks the best. You can choose something that you have already read before so that you will be familiar with the story, you will know everything about the characters, and you can really concentrate on improving your reading skills in this language. Or you can choose something that was published recently, like this century, okay? Because 25 years time is quite okay. If you try something that was written 2 centuries ago, I've already mentioned that it's not the best idea. And for example, if you try to read something from the previous century, something like 60s, 70s, it still might be a little bit hard because, I mean, it depends on the writer and it depends on the way they address the things and what they talk about, but it was very, very political time, you know? And there is a lot about that political situation and I mean, anywhere in all the countries. I think it's not the easy reading either. So I would advise you, like, choose something really, really recent, something modern, something easy, something not specific, something about people's lives, something about relationships, something about traveling, maybe, because these are the topics that all people can relate to. And it's usually easier to understand what they talk about. Choose something where there are a lot of dialogues, because dialogues are really, really good to begin with. Just go with your gut. If you look at the book and feel that it's going to be okay, look through a few pages. If you don't find a lot of unfamiliar words, or if you still find them but they don't impede your understanding and you can still understand what's going on in that part, go for it. My favorite writer in English is Sally Rooney, and I've read 3 books written by her, and I'm really, really looking forward to reading her 4th book. Unfortunately, I didn't buy it yet. So far, I still haven't bought it, but I will. I promise to myself that I will, and I will read it because the way she writes, I actually recommend her books to all my students. Pre-intermediate, intermediate levels, you can already start trying to read her books because there are a lot of dialogues, there is slang, but I mean, you want to learn some slang? I think you do. There is not much of descriptions and there are no historical notes or whatever. So she's writing about people, about their relationships, about life in general, and it's really, really easy to read. I also bought this book in France. It's the book about our brain. I decided to give it a try, and you know what? I actually found it pretty interesting and not difficult to read. Why? You might think, like, okay, she didn't read the detective story, but she decided to read something about the brain. Like, but if we talk about the science, if we talk about the psychology or about how the brain works, because it's mostly about the psychological part of it and something about biology, just a little bit. A lot of terms are Latin based, so you will find a lot of words that you already know in your language. So, for example, for me, some words look like Russian words or English words, and I can just guess the meaning because I know them in English. So, my English experience helped me a lot because I'm really into psychology, into neurobiology, everything about the brain, how it works, how we remember things, the memory, whatever. So it really helped me to read this book. And I actually really enjoyed it. Of course, I didn't get like 100% of the words, but what I got, I even got like some insights like, wow, that's true. So some mirror neurons and stuff like that. So cognitive abilities, whatever. It might seem real weird, but this kind of literature may also be of use. Just if you are familiar with a particular topic in English, let's say, you can give it a try in another language. Why not? I also bought this, well, I think it's something like a child's book, something like a fairy tale or something. I don't know. I didn't read it yet. I didn't even try to read it because I think there is a lot of grammar which I'm not familiar with. Yeah, books for kids. People say like, okay, you can just start with books for kids, and when you open and see something really, really weird, even in Russian sometimes, I'm like, what is that? Or in English. So it might happen. Don't really rely on books for kids 100%. So choose wisely. And step number 3, be consistent. Implement the habit into your daily routine. If you are already an experienced reader and if it's not a problem for you to read a book and to read few pages before you go to sleep or on your way to work or whatever circumstances you choose for reading, it will be easier, obviously. But even if you are not a reader on the permanent basis, you can do it. You can still implement this habit into your daily routine, just step by step, plan it, be consistent, don't make an excuse. You can read at least one page, one chapter a day. It will make the total difference. If you keep saying to yourself, like, okay, I'm so tired, I can't read today. No, I will just postpone it and I don't know, do it next weekend, whatever. You will never, never, ever implement the habit. You will never get this done. So just try to be consistent, try to be disciplined, and you will succeed. And how to be really disciplined and consistent, just cut the corners. Make the process of reading, first of all, pleasant, second of all, easy. And what I mean here is that, first of all, you have to be really, really enjoying. You have to enjoy what you're doing in your life. I mean, that's the whole point, especially when it comes to language learning, because it is not an easy process and our brain is so reluctant to get out of its comfort zone sometimes, all the time. You need to make it easier for your brain. So just put a book on the spot where you can easily get it, like the easy access for your reading materials. If it's an ebook, just download everything in advance and wait until you feel like starting to read. If you read on your phone as well, just download the app, download the book, save it, put the app icon on the front screen or whatever. So just make it easier for yourself to get the access to what you're gonna read. Well, that's actually it. I hope that you found these tips helpful. Let me know in the comments. Subscribe my channel. I'm going to make more videos about how to listen, how to speak, how to write, and the whole bunch of tips that I've been collecting for years of my teaching practice and my learning practice, because right now I'm learning Arabic, actually a dialect, Algerian Arabic. If you want to know why I'm doing that, check the video. The link will be somewhere here. If you have any questions, please drop the comment, text me on my social media. Let me know if you want me to do something particular next time. Maybe you have a question about reading, about language learning or teaching. Just let me know. And I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy your language practice, enjoy reading. See ya.